Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, is a guy who is the voice of a generation for a sport that I think is having a resurgence. He was at Monday Night Raw last night. In the home of the Chiefs. Kansas City, Missouri. Ladies and gentlemen, MLB insider for ESPN, Jeff Passan.
Jet.
Gentlemen, how are you?
How are you doing, Jet? Thank you for coming out to Monday Night Raw last night. I hope you and the fam and friends had a good time.
Dude, it was awesome. Pat, I got to be honest. I am terrified for you at Backlash. You have to take Gunther chops.
Yeah.
It's not going to be great.
Yeah, I mean, I had to do what I had to do here, Jed. I had to do what I had to do. Can't just do that and me sit there for everything that I'm about. Can't have it happen. So, and it did settle in a little bit last night as I was traveling home. Oh, great. Great. Here we go. But, I appreciate your kind words. And, going through laughing about it, I don't know what that's all about. Okay, I don't know what that's all about.
He ain't ready.
He's just a jobber anyway. Come on now.
Boom.
That was Jeff Passan. I'd like to have everybody know that I did not say that.
I agree.
You come to a lot of Monday Night Raws and to WWE events. Last night felt like a electrifying crowd. Legitimately, the Kansas City crowd I think was electric last night.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. And listen, your promo. I mean, you were born to do this, Pat McAfee. It was phenomenal, and everything you said, loved it. Well, loved it, top to bottom.
There was 2 words I could have left out.
Maybe so. We're on Netflix, though.
As kids, a lot of things. I didn't even think, and it wasn't until, shortly after was I reminded by Cole. He just wrote it down on the thing right next there. Hey, I go, oof,
blacked out.
Hey, it just felt natural, so I do apologize for that. But nonetheless, I had to get some things out. A lot of people don't know a lot of things about me. I just wanted to remind some people, not only them, but to myself, who I am, what I am. I had to do that. And especially if you're going to challenge a guy like Gunther to a fight, and you're going to call out general manager and say, hey, listen, lift the band, let's do this thing. Okay, all right, let's do that.
Did you forget Nick Aldis's name? Because you just called him SmackDown Adam Pearce, right?
Yeah. Nick Aldis is a good man, former TNA champion. Mm-hmm. Okay, he is very handsome.
Totally forgot his name.
No. Do you know my relationship with Adam Pearce?
Yeah, he's middle manager.
Bingo. So you think I'm going to give credit to middle manager from other show?
That's very fair.
Yeah.
Very fair.
I think I even.
I will say this, Pat. I was sitting.
I did miss Adam Pearce last night.
I was sitting right in front of Quentin Lucas, who was the mayor of Kansas City, who was there last night.
In front of
and when the F-bombs were dropped, he was like, whoa, like all of a sudden it got him going a little bit. Like he was into it. He didn't know the background either. And so when he learned the background, it was fantastic.
Oh, so the mayor says, hold the phone over there in Kansas City. Okay. In the home Jeez. I'm happy they went with me. I did not know if that was a good way to start the entire thing. They did. Let's talk baseball. Last time we chatted about it, we're having a great start, great season. Superstars are playing well. Haven't talked about it in about a week. What's going on in the baseball world? Everything's still going great?
Everything's always going great in the baseball world.
No, that is not true. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, fair enough. Look. We can talk about Paul Skenes. You know what I'm going to do first? I'm going to fix my camera because it is about to fall apart, and that looks like it's much better right now. All right. So, in the base. That did not help. That did not help at all.
Much worse.
Oh, goodness. No. Come on, guys.
Who's the finger painting?
Come on, Jet. Oh, there it is.
There we go.
We'll see.
That's better, right? Maybe. Sort of.
Yeah, I think you look good. All
right.
720.
We got all kinds of things happening in baseball. Paul Skenes doing Paul Skenes things. Aaron Judge looking like Babe Ruth. The Los Angeles Dodgers still a machine. The New York Mets look like the best team in baseball right now. And we're a month into the season. And typically in baseball, I don't take a whole lot out of the first month. It's a long season. I mean, it goes 6 months. And so that first month, tends to give you a little insight into what's going on, but you can't take away too many things from it. Right now, though, I love what the New York Mets are doing. They've just got good vibes around that team right now. And they're doing it without Juan Soto playing like a $765 million player. They're doing it without Sean Manaea and Frankie Montas. They're doing it because Pete Alonso, the polar bear, is off to a red-hot start right now because their starting pitching, top to bottom, has been incredible. And because Francisco Lindor, their captain, is there hitting walk-off home runs and just bringing great energy to the team. And the thing is, the Mets want to be like the Dodgers, Pat.
No.
That's the goal at the end of the day, to take Steve Cohen's money and leverage it into something great. And they're not there quite yet, but what they're building right now, Mets fans have a lot of reason to feel good about this team going forward.
You said they want to be the Dodgers. A little bit out of focus, but you still said it. Everybody automatically thought they're trying to be the Yankees. Are they
Whoa.
Are they New York's? Are they the Kings of New York?
No. Yeah,
they're the best team in New York
right now. But like you said, Jet, we're 30 games into the season, so I'm not
pump
gonna.
the brakes.
Yeah, exactly.
They played a tough schedule.
Ty, you think that the Yankees at the end of the season are going to be better than the Mets?
I don't know if I'd necessarily say that. The Yankees, their pitching is enough to just drive me insane. But but if the Yankees get to the playoffs and Judge performs better than he has in years past, you said it. Judge he's fucking unbelievable watching this guy night in, night out, and it's very frustrating that they have about two other guys on the in the lineup that are batting over 200. But no, we're 29 games into this thing, so I'm not ready to say that the Mets are the Kings of New York yet, but they have been hot.
Aaron Judge is batting over 400 still?
Yes.
That's high school like stuff, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
That's what people in high school do? Like good players in high school are 400 hitters?
Maybe like great players in high school even.
Passan, you were holding up your high school? You were batting 400 at high school?
No, this is not. This is Pembroke Hill School where my son plays and where I believe there are 5 players in the lineup, including my child right now, batting over 400. 14-3, go Raiders.
But nobody's batting over 500 on that team, though?
No, nobody is over 500. But
400 is absurd at any level of baseball, right?
It is, but especially, like Pat, especially in the big leagues, and especially for a guy like Aaron Judge, who's striking out, a career low at this point, 20% of the time. But think about it. When you take away that 20% of plate appearances that you're striking out in, right? That means you have to essentially bat 500 on all of the other balls that you hit in order to have a 400 average. So I don't think Aaron Judge is a threat to hit 400 necessarily, but if you go back and look at the last calendar year for Aaron Judge, he had a bad April last year. So let's go beginning of May to the end of April this year. Aaron Judge is batting over 360. He has hit 60 home runs. He has driven in 156 runs. And he has put up 13.5 wins above replacement. Now, WAR is a statistic that tries to encapsulate everything a player does. His offense, his defense, his base running. And it's useful because you can compare over generations how players are doing. And so last night, I went and looked. What is the best WAR season in baseball history? Of course, it belongs to Babe Ruth. He put up 14 wins above replacement one year. Second best year was 13.7 wins above replacement. After that, there has not been a player in history who over a calendar year has had 13.5 wins above replacement like Aaron Judge. So what we're looking at right now, we give Shohei Ohtani all the love. But the truth is Aaron Judge is so good as a hitter, so much better than everyone else as a hitter, that I think he's a little underappreciated and taken for granted because he is so damn good at what he does.
Well, we appreciate the fact that Aaron Judge says, I'll just take a yard and I'll have the highest batting percentage. I'll hit it the furthest and the most often and the most consistent. Because there's people that just bat for average, right? And they're not hitting dingers.
Yeah.
And he's hitting for dingers, and his average is better than everybody.
Yeah, and his on-base percentage is over. So he's getting on base over half the time, which, Jet would, it hasn't really been like that this year because the guys batting around him haven't been great. But, when Barry Bonds was in his prime, there would be times where he would maybe get, one good pitch to hit, an entire series, and he'd hit a homer when he did that.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and that's kind of what, Judge, he had the hot start. He hit a bunch of homers, and he hasn't been hitting homers at the same clip over, the past, 2 weeks. But he's not getting very many good pitches to hit, and when he does, he's either hitting homers or he's getting base hits, and it's just it's remarkable to watch night in, night out.
Speaking of homers, D-Bud has a question for you, Jet.
Yeah, casuals like myself were kind of enamored early on in the season with the torpedo bats. Are they still a thing? Are people still knocking them out of the yard? That's the first question. And then secondly, are we sure about those numbers as far as WAR? You sure Jackie Robinson didn't have Jackie Robinson, Josh Gibson? Yeah.
Jackie Robinson was awesome. Jackie Robinson never put up a season like Babe Ruth or Barry Bonds, man.
Sorry.
In terms of the tour, Jackie Robinson was the most important player in baseball history. So not taking away anything from him.
Ted Williams fought in
maybe
World War
United
II.
States. Maybe United States.
Todd Van Poppel, maybe.
Anyways,
David Wells.
I hate that one.
That was a big pop.
In terms of torpedo bats, that's a great question. I actually dug in a little bit on that too. Looking at the Yankees opening weekend when Cody Bellinger and Anthony Volpe and Austin Wells, going Jazz Chisholm going off and hitting home runs. Since then, they've been terrible. Now that doesn't mean that torpedo bats don't work. Cal Raleigh, for example, the Seattle Mariners catcher uses a torpedo bat. He's a switch hitter, but he uses the torpedo on the left side, been cranking home runs all over the place. Stephen Kwan with the Cleveland Guardians, batting .350 right now, uses a torpedo bat. What it is it's more a matter of comfort for guys. How are they going to find the tools that allow them to be the best baseball players? We got to get you a torpedo bat.
I agree, because I think I'm a torpedo bat hitter.
Sure.
You would hit absolute nukes with torpedo bats.
I felt like I broke my thumb on that jam that old buddy gave me. They just moved that thing down to here, just a big skinny top there.
Yep.
What's that's out of bar?
All the way down.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Yeah, just this area, this
Put it
whole
right next to
area.
your
Right
hands.
here. Just make that the torpedo, and then just thin that side out there. So then I'm literally just throwing my hands at it. You know what I mean? And then that's torpedo right there.
It's gone.
That's what they do,
Look when
right?
Pat tries to talk baseball.
That's what they do, right? Yeah. I mean, you were saying a lot of things there where I'm like, as a non-baseball person, I do want to understand what's going on in your conversation, but I don't fully comprehend it. I thought the torpedo bats fixed baseball. Why the fuck can't they hit with the torpedo bats anymore? Why are we not? I thought that was the game changer. And then all the people that know baseball were like, they've been around for a long time. It's just a fad. Why is it? Is baseball, and is it always changing? Are there always little intricacies always changing? Is there because we've learned about all the sport and everything, the stickiness, the hat stuff, the traditions, this. We've learned about all that. Is there just always little things changing? The ball. I remember we've changed the ball now 5 times.
Juice balls.
With Spider Tech, we can't have Spider Tech, but we're allowed to lick and we're allowed to have rosin. But if you lick the rosin at the same time, can't do that. And also, you're going to get full body pad. Oh, now we're going to have a smaller pitch clock. You can only step out one time unless it's 2 times. There's always little things. I felt like the torpedo bat was the new one of those. Okay, we just move the wood to where the ball is going to be. Is there any more of those down the pipe? And is there a chance that the torpedo bat does come back and make a run? Because like D-Butt, I enjoyed thinking that they were walking out there with wiffle ball bats. And they were just hitting bombs every night. It reminded me of the summer.
Yeah.
The summer of bombs. The summer of McGuire and Sosa.
That's right.
Summer steroids.
Things, Pat, things are always changing in baseball. And it's one of the things that I love about it. It's that, in a game where everyone has the same type of information, what they're doing is looking for these tiny little minuscule advantages, because that tiny little minuscule advantage could lead to an extra win or two, which could lead to a playoff spot, which could lead to a World Series. And the curiosity of people inside of baseball is to me the best part of it. They're always looking for something, and it wasn't just torpedo bats. There are guys out there with knobs on their bats that are shaped like hockey pucks, and they feel like they swing better that way. They're always testing and iterating and trying to figure things out. So yeah, torpedo bats aren't going anywhere. They're just not going to be the thing that changes the game permanently. I mean, we're in a state right now where pitching is so far ahead of hitting because of the technology, because pitchers in the offseason can go into a lab where they have these units called TrackMan and Rapsodo that they track pitches and essentially tell you down to the RPM how they're spinning, the angle at which they're spinning, how fast they're going to the 10th of a mile per hour. And pitchers going into these labs and designing new pitches to try and get swings and misses and to try and become better pitchers. And hitters just haven't had that thing to even things out. So that's why the batting average in baseball right now is below 240. That's why offense is kind of stagnant at this point. And so baseball is always looking for something to get offense better because fans want to see runs scored.
Okay, so they should let them bang on garbage cans then. And on that note, I guess with everything you're saying, what Aaron Judge is doing right now needs to be
remarkable,
lauded and applauded even more so. And let's talk about the pitching and the exciting pitching that we got to see firsthand. AP Tone has a question for you, Jet.
Yeah, Jet, let's talk about the pitcher, Mr. Vogue, Mr. GQ, Mr. Paul Skenes. We all know Shohei Ohtani, who we just got.
So nasty.
So nasty. He is the face of baseball. Aaron Judge is the face of baseball. But as far as Paul Skenes goes, with the GQ, with the Vogue, I just saw a trailer for about his 4-hour warm-up, which I believe is coming out in a documentary. I think you might even be involved in it. Is he the next face of baseball? And is there even a ceiling for Paul Skenes at this point? And when is he leaving Pittsburgh?
Big night at.
You know what? I hope the answer is not soon.
I agree.
I want to see a team like the Pittsburgh Pirates. I want to see a fan base like the Pittsburgh Pirates fan base be rewarded and get to see the brilliance that Paul Skenes brings on an every start basis. And the Skenes right now, he's just getting better. Like, that's the terrifying thing for hitters, that this is a guy who throws 6 different pitches, can throw them in any count, in any situation. You see the high fastball there. You saw the slider to Ohtani. I mean, right down the middle there, and Freddie Freeman can't catch up to it. And Paul Skenes right now is finding out the kind of pitcher that he can be. And it was interesting. After that start against the Dodgers, he goes 100, I think 107, 108, 109 pitches. After that game, he talked about, I feel like I can go 140, 150. And I wrote a story about Skenes a couple of weeks back where, I sat down with him during spring training, talked to him for like almost an hour and a half. It was a great conversation. He's a really thoughtful, interesting, intelligent guy. And he was telling me about the conversations that he has with players who he respects and how important it is to try and learn from them. And one of those was Randy Johnson. And Randy Johnson's a guy who would go and throw 140 or 150 pitches in a game. Nowadays, if a guy gets to 120, there's panic. And I personally don't think that's right. I think there are too many restrictions placed on pitchers who are held to a standard of average when they are exceptional. Paul Skenes' body might actually be built to handle 120 plus pitches regularly. But because of the fear of injury, I don't think we're ever going to get to find out whether that is a reality for him. And that's the problem right now with pitchers. Front offices are scared of the elbow. Front offices are scared of the shoulder. They're scared that these incredible assets that they have that bring so much value to their team are just going to get run over, like pitchers of generations past. But we have so much more knowledge right now that I think if the training is proper, if the pitcher understands what his body is capable of doing, maybe we need to listen to him rather than hold him to some strictures that are put in place because we're obsessed with round numbers. Like, if a guy gets to 100 pitches, it's not necessarily a danger zone if the guy is conditioned to throw 100-plus pitches.
I love everything you're saying right now because we are a analytics are good show, but they're not necessarily the final boss or final call on everything show, which I think is the right place to be. And I know you wrote a book, I believe you wrote a book about kids and how much they're throwing. And whenever you talk about restrictions, professionals, yes, obviously got to have the conversation, but we need to put restrictions on the younger kids because the kids, as they're growing up through baseball, they're the ones that are putting so much damage on their elbows and on their arms through wasted reps almost whenever they're growing up. We know, because he's been on the program and told us, and I think you've obviously reported this numerous times, Paul Skenes didn't start pitching until, high school or something like that. He was a catcher. He didn't start pitching until late. So his arm is literally like kind of young in the entire pitcher baseball world, no matter where he's at. So it's like you look at how big he is. You look at like the history of his arm. Obviously, you would think this guy could go. If he wanted to go, you should let him go. They're saving him for years? Like they want him to be able to throw for years? What would a successful career look like for Paul Skenes if the saving him for the future worked? Like them saving him for the future. How many years is that of Paul Skenes as Paul Skenes in the MLB?
Pat, the problem is that there's a fallacy that the less a guy throws, the healthier he's going to stay. That has not proven true over time. And so it's why we need to look at the individual and what he can bring as opposed to the history of, all of the arms that are in graveyards everywhere. I mean, we go back and look at guys who were like Paul Skenes, Kerry Wood and Mark Pryor, for example, with the Chicago Cubs. They were supposed to be the ones who led the Cubs to glory. They got overused. They got hurt. Didn't work out for them. Their careers were cut short accordingly. But this is, I feel like you got to give some autonomy to the players. And if Paul Skenes wants to go more, then let him go. Like, this is his career. And I get why teams are hesitant. It's just not backed up by any data or any science. And that's the frustrating part about this. Paul Skenes is like the scary part with him is that he throws really hard. And there's an extreme correlation between hard throwers and elbow injuries. It almost feels like an inevitability with some guys. But there are outliers. And for me, what does a successful Paul Skenes career look like? It's not so much the number of years he throws. It's not the number of strikeouts he has. It's not any of those counting stats. It's does he stay healthy or does he not? Because if he stays healthy, Pat, he is going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's how good he is. But it's just a matter of trying to keep him healthy as best you can. And the reality is, I wrote a book called The Arm. I spent 4 years studying this, researching it, trying to crack it. And unfortunately, at the end, it was a dissatisfying conclusion. I didn't know a whole lot more than I did when I started reporting the book. There's nothing out there at this point that anyone knows that for certain is going to keep pitchers healthy.
You're saying situations are situational, and
that I am.
Human bodies are maybe constructed differently, and elbows,
every single one of them,
are a little bit different in ligaments and torque and tear, and it's more so if it's going to happen, it's going to happen type thing, as opposed to hey, let's only let him pitch 60 times tonight because he might have to pitch again in the future. And we talked to Randy Johnson, I believe, and CC, I believe, and both of them were like, I didn't want to give up the ball because, like, just competitor too. Like, who am I giving this ball to? Paul has that. Oh, yeah. Like, Paul definitely has that. So I'm excited for him to hopefully get a chance to experience that. And you said you hope he's at the Pittsburgh Pirates long term, man. It's like, we all know, dude. The whole arena knew at Big Night Out. The whole arena knew. Everybody in there knew. And unless that happens, we got no shot, brother. We got no. And then Michael Cole comes out and goes, you need to get a real owner like Steve Cohen up in New York, and everybody boos him. But it's like, yeah, that would be what it would have to take to keep Paul Skenes in Pittsburgh. What, 3 years from now? When's he due to make a decision 2 years?
Oh, the Pirates still have him under control for a while because he didn't start with them in the big leagues last year. Now, he won Rookie of the Year, which gave him a full year of service, right? So after this season, he's going to have 2 full years of service. You get free agency after 6 years. So after this year, they've got another 4 years left. But generally speaking, if you don't feel like you can sign a guy long-term, you're probably going to trade him after that 4th season just to try and maximize the value. You know, it's the difference between a 1-year rental and a guy that you've got for a couple of years. I hate talking about this stuff. We should not be having this conversation.
I know.
Baseball should not be the sport where a star gets built up in a small market and it feels like an inevitability that he's going to go somewhere else. And it's not always the case. I live in Kansas City. Bobby Witt Jr. signed an 11-year, $288 million contract to stay in Kansas City. Why? Because John Sherman, the owner, stepped up and said, we are going to pay you what you're worth. And frankly, the fact that the Pirates have not done that with Paul Skenes yet, and there's no sign that they have any intention to do that, it's a shame. It really is.
Nothing difference, baby.
Well, Nutting has learned of our program, I have been told.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, has he?
I guess. I don't know. There was conversations
Is he
about.
a big fan?
Yeah.
I don't think he likes it.
Yeah, I know. He loves it.
Well, normally he just reads
That's pretty
newspapers
fair,
normally.
too.
So.
We talk about the Pirates.
Pretty fair.
We talk about the Pirates.
Well, that's the thing about Skenes, too, right? Is like CC and Randy. Like, at least when he passes the ball on, they're not like blowing his starts or anything.
Bingo. Yeah, that bullpen. He knows what's
they
coming.
went scoreless
What's that?
9 all against the Dodgers. So
Oh, you tell me maybe the Pirates' bullpen is hot right
Was
now.
that was the only game they won, though, right?
Yeah, I think they're
In that series,
lost the
yeah.
rest.
It was,
The Dodgers are a good team.
They are.
Yeah,
They are.
Dodgers
No
are a good
doubt.
team. I saw a payroll tweet. The Miami Marlins,
Yep.
$40 million. Is that the number?
We fucking stink.
Sounds about right.
$69 million. $476
Nice.
million for the Dodgers. $69 million for the Marlins.
What are we doing?
Rockies might be $40 million.
That's why.
No, I'll tell you what, the Rockies are playing like a $40 million team, but they actually are spending, I think, $128 this year.
Okay.
Like the Rockies spend money, they just don't spend it well.
How's that even? Like,
So the Rockies are on pace to be very, very, very historically terrible, right?
Worst ever.
I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah. Last year, we saw the most futile team in Major League history, the Chicago White Sox, lose a record 121 games. Their reign as the worst team in history might last 1 year.
All right, Colorado, go
Rockies-
get it. Go get it, Rockies.
it's a beautiful ballpark.
The farmer's hands.
It's rough.
place.
You might as well just be the worst instead of second to worst. You know?
Yeah.
Everybody's just going 4-24.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That has to be a miserable place out there in the Rockies. What is that, 50-cent tickets on SeatGeek?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Larry Walker can't be.
No, you know what though? I give credit to Rockies fans. They still show up, man. They're still putting 30,000+ people into that
not a good
ballpark.
How much? How many?
Yeah, 30,000+ a night.
There's no way.
That ballpark is beautiful. Unbelievable
It's a
bar.
gorgeous
Yeah.
park.
Yeah.
30,000 people are going to Rockies games. They're 4-24.
Yeah, I mean, dollar tickets
Yep.
to drink ice cold beers at Mile High.
Yeah, right now
Worst thing you
they're,
can
they're
do for
averaging
time.
31,000.
Mountains are blue, brother.
Yeah, Coors Light Stadium, right? Isn't it?
Shout out to today's sponsor, SeatGeek, the greatest ticket buying platform on planet Earth and the moon. Right now, you use PAT30. That is PAT30 to get $30 off any type of ticket, whether it's for the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs, concerts, comedy, maybe a Rockies game to celebrate the beautiful city of Denver and watch a team definitely lose. 4-24, historically terrible start. You can get a ticket to get in, $14.
It's also BOGO hot dog night tonight.
That's a big one. Buy one,
Stop.
get one. And they might even add in an extra one just because you came to watch the 4-24 Rockies. Now, I will say that $14 ticket you cannot utilize, or the $16 or the $19 or the $17 ones. You cannot utilize the code PAT, the number 3, the number 0, PAT30 for $30 off any of the tickets. Restrictions do apply. Like, for instance, if the ticket costs less than $30, it could be new or repeat purchaser with our friends at SeatGeek. Over 30 million downloads now.
Wow.
They're at 28 million.
About time.
That's good growth. Good growth out of SeatGeek.
Can you get Savannah Banana tickets on there?
81,000 down there at Clemson and watch the Bananas do their thing.
Watch them before the Rockies.
I saw it. I think I would too.
And the Pirates. Unless,
Skenes.
And the rest.
unless.
I saw it. Did you see his second at bat? Hit it the length of a football field. Outfielder has it, punches it up in the sky with the glove, takes off the hat, catches the ball in the hat, flips it up, puts it in his hand, throws it back. They're the real deal.
It's entertaining baseball.
That's in front of 81,000 plus. That's the first inning.
Wow.
Think about the moxie. Think about the moxie on that.
Showman.
Jet hates
Impressive.
Absolute showman. Have you been to Savannah Bananas? And are any of them going to get signed to the MLB before playoffs?
They better.
No.
Still Sky.
What?
Still Sky.
No. It's still Sky.
Still
no.
Sky throws.
They are, I believe, for the most part, like they were good college players. But if they were great, they would probably be with an organization.
Okay,
at this
so
point.
what is the baseball thoughts of the Savannah Banana business? Because I'll say this, great business. 81,000 people watching them play baseball.
Pat, if anybody inside of the baseball industry is hating on the Savannah Bananas, they're wrong. They're absolutely wrong. I don't just because it's not Major League Baseball, just because it's not, playing to win necessarily, doesn't mean it's not great.
Animals are that way.
They're not packing stadiums if it's not fun and if people don't love it. And frankly, anything that brings people to baseball, even if it's a different brand of baseball or a different style of baseball, I'm all for it. Love what the Bananas are doing and love the passion that they have from their fans. I mean, it's impressive what they do and the way that they are able to pack these big league ballparks and, in some cases, football stadiums.
Well, in this case, Clemson, 81,000, so many people. That's their biggest house that they've had thus far. Is this it? No, this is the top of the ninth.
Do these umps get called up? This ump behind the plate's
That's
got
a big out.
That's
a huge out right there in the top of the ninth. What a play. What a play up there, row 25.
Yeah.
Legit, you can't be hitting that foul ball into a place where it looks like there's some athletes out there. Snag, how you doing? That's an out. See ya.
They're definitely playing to win.
Yes. You think
look at
Swan wants to
that
lose?
The party animals are.
Party animals don't screw around.
No, the Bananas are playing to win. This is the top of the ninth.
Do they switch teams? They're always on the same team.
Always on the same team.
You think Hosley's going to put on a party animals jersey? Dude?
What a
My
pitch.
bad.
What was that right there? That was curveball.
Slider.
Yeah, a little slide piece.
What was that?
Another slider.
Okay, so this is his pitch. The slider is his pitch.
He's junk baller.
He's feeling it.
He was college pitcher that probably did well, but wasn't MLB speed.
Three straight
pitch.
sliders.
Wow.
I mean,
Nasty.
What a dog.
We have the hat catch, too, from the outfielder. I mean, this is the second at bat. You think about maybe a little nerves.
Sure.
A little bit of, oh, no, I don't want to mess up. This guy's backpedaling in the middle of the sun in front of 81,000. Big shot. Big shot. Length of the football field. Couldn't hit in a worse spot.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Drop the sunglasses. Who cares? Get the ball out of here.
Cape Guy.
wearing a cape.
Superman?
Cape Guy hit a bomb earlier in the game too. Or
Cape
later in
Guy's
the game,
moxie
sorry.
is ridiculous.
Why didn't he aim that to left field?
What a play.
That was the second pitch. Second pitch of the night.
Dude,
Dog.
hit it to left field.
I do love the exceptionally short porch in left field.
Yeah.
Oh, the short porch over there?
Righty's
Yeah.
in a good spot there, huh?
Yeah, big
Football
time.
fields. Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Phil Oppo.
Who's winning the World Series?
Red Sox.
Not the Red Sox.
Come on.
But the American League is wide open right
Of course.
now. And Connor, can I say something?
They're doing it.
Connor, you look good today, man. I'm digging the jersey.
It sounds so bad. But thank you.
You might sound bad, but it's a good look for you right
Thanks,
now.
brother.
And look, the Sox are playing some ball this year. Christian Campbell is the real deal. Alex Bregman has been absolutely fantastic. They need some pitching, but I agree with those odds. To me right now, it's still the Dodgers. And look, they are banged up. Blake Snell, $182 million signing, on the injured list right now. Tyler Glasnow signed a $136.5 million extension when he got traded there, on the injured list now. Ohtani, still not pitching. They've got Yamamoto in their rotation, Roki Sasaki and Dustin May. But this is what the Dodgers do, Pat. They value depth so much, to the point where they have Tony Gonsolin, who hasn't pitched since 2023 because of an injury, finally coming back this week. They have Ben Kasparius, a guy who was in the bullpen, up to 99 when coming in after Tyler Glasnow came out of the game. And he could be in the rotation. They could go with Landon Knack. They could go with Justin Rubelski. They've just got so much depth that even when they have a dozen pitchers on the injured list, they still have guys who are better than most teams' pitchers. And it's that depth, I think, that at the end of the day is going to carry the Dodgers.
No Pirates on her.
I thought that's on bottom right.
We got that's Padres. I had to look twice too.
Pirates beat the Pirates. Fucking just dominated the Dodgers though. So
beat the Dodgers. Run through the Cubs, no problem.
Cubs have actually had quite the start.
Yeah, wait till they see the Paul Skenes train in the Hundo boys.
Yeah.
They're hanging. And Kutch is getting after it.
Big pitchers duel tonight, actually. Mikey Minaga against Andrew Heaney.
And that's the teams they play for are
Buccos and the Cubs. Heaney's actually got a 1.9 ERA right now.
We're playing the Cubs tonight.
Yeah.
We got Skenes game 3.
Heaney's fucking been dealing, dude.
Hey, Skenes has the Cubs number. That's one of the only teams he got to play twice last year, I think, if I recall from talking to Paul Skenes. He got to play he got to play the Cubs twice because it was one of the first series he had whenever he got in. Then he had you guys late. And he talked about how he remembered how batters were the second time that he got a chance to go against him. That's why whenever he's taking on Shohei, I don't know if that's the first time he's taking on Shohei, but like Paul Skenes is like calculating in there on Shohei. And I'm assuming he's doing the same thing to Paul. We need them in the offseason just to do a one-on-one.
Who's Shohei and Skenes?
Yeah. Just give him a stadium.
Against you?
They've had a pretty good. Shohei took him deep last year, and then he obviously fared much better this year in his first start against.
Would they ever both be full go in the offseason? I know their offseason is so short, but would they ever both have a day where it's like, I'm doing a full hitting workout today, and Paul Skenes would be doing a full pitching workout that day?
100% yes.
Paul Skenes, no problem.
Paul Skenes takes off 3 weeks in the offseason and just does nothing. Doesn't touch a weight, nothing like that. 3 weeks down, and then he's back after it.
We're doing that.
And so, yeah. Got to make that happen.
In Japan.
100 pitches. It'll be, I don't know, what is the normal workout? How many pitches does he normally do?
It depends if he's throwing a bullpen. Like a typical bullpen session's like 30, 35 pitches.
Boom.
But if he's working on something,
give him a metal bat, too.
Shohei gets a metal bat?
Let's get
but Skenes will be behind the net, and Skenes will pitch behind the net.
Age, I like where we're at in the brainstorm. I don't want to bring an umbrella, but let's make sure we're letting the boys be the boys here.
Let's get a gorilla out there, too.
Okay. Jet,
Okay.
how do you feel?
Beat him.
How do you feel, Jet, about the gorilla?
We could add the gorilla. Sure, why not?
You don't know.
He doesn't know.
Jet don't know.
No, I don't know. What's the gorilla?
Well, it's got a problem. It's 100 dudes, from my perspective.
Oh! The 100 guys versus the one gorilla.
Yeah.
Oh, the gorilla loses against the 100.
oh yeah,
Let's go.
you get it.
Yeah.
Gets it.
Us on three. Humans. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, it's humans.
It's humans.
To be clear, I didn't know what to say. All right, we appreciate you, man, ladies and gentlemen. Senior baseball insider for ESPN and pundit, Jeff Passan.
Jet.